Darvin Adams working with the first team, and is Andrew Harris close behind? Details coming out of a closed Blue Bombers practice. Let's get a better look at the Blue Bombers picture of health. Darvin Adams really led the storylines in Blue Bombers practice this week, working with the ones on the first 2 days of practice. With the ones, that means he's working with the first team offense alongside all the other starters, the offensive line, 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙚 𝙎𝙥𝙤𝙧𝙯, Brady Oliveira, and that receiving group. But we have seen some additions and subtractions from this receiving group as well. And then, of course, Andrew Harris. And how close is he to returning? Now, if you logged on to Bonfire Sports in the past weeks and during training camp, you would have seen my report where I saw Andrew Harris suffer a setback in the middle parts of training camp, right around July 24th or 25th. And that was 2 weeks following head coach Mike O'Shea stating that he wanted to give Andrew Harris a couple weeks off of practice following, well, something coming up on the first few days. It was day 3 that Harris left practice early, seemingly very unexpectedly, and O'Shea stated that he had an appointment he needed to attend. Well, we didn't see Andrew Harris on the field for about a week or a week and a half following that, and then we slowly started to see him ramp his activity up. And then I saw him display a lot of frustration, looked like he hit a snag in his injury recovery. On the official CFL injury report, it is a calf injury. We now see Andrew Harris 2 weeks following that, and again, slowly ramping up his activity during Blue Bombers practice, active and involved in the early parts of practice. But then when it comes down to team session, where it's 12-on-12 offense versus defense, Harris is off to the side working with head athletic therapist Alain Couture. Now, Harris also spotted in a knee brace this week. I've spoken to some people that could just be to help support that injured calf and probably not something else on its own. But it is a positive indication. Here is Andrew Harris doing more now than he ever has. But how close is he to returning? That's the million-dollar question. I think Blue Bomber fans are probably going to have to wait for Harris, and maybe I'm thinking Labor Day is a time that they would like to target for 33 to return and make his 2021 debut here in Winnipeg. And while that game, of course, will be in Regina for the Labor Day Classic against the heated rival Saskatchewan Roughriders. So it'll be Brady Oliveira on Saturday afternoon. And of course, ahead of the game, you want to tune in to GameDay Winnipeg here on Bonfire Sports. The legendary Chris Walby will join me as always. We're going to take a quick trip around the CFL, set you up with all the details you need for the Blue Bombers Argos game. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff Central Time, 4 o'clock in Toronto. We'll have that available for you right here on Bonfire Sports YouTube page and on BonfireSports.ca first thing Saturday. So if you wake up, it's going to be there for you, ready to go. We're going to hear from offensive coordinator Buck Pierce and what he's seen from his offense through the first 2 games of the season. Defensive backs coach Jordan Younger, a really impressive group of DBs, especially those 3 rookies through the first 2 games of the season and also through training camp. Jordan Younger, one of my favorite people to talk to. You don't want to miss his comments on GameDay Winnipeg on Saturday. And then, of course, quarterback 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙯 𝙎𝙥𝙤𝙧 will join as well as others. But let's talk about the Blue Bombers' injury situation and health situation going into this Week 3 game on Saturday. Now, Darvin Adams, as I mentioned, has been working with the ones, but I still think it's to be determined if he will suit up on Saturday. The Bombers' offense has looked really good and the receiving core extremely deep without Darvin Adams healthy and in the lineup. So whether we see him on Saturday or not is still to be determined, but my take is, why rush him back? Kenny Lawler is proving to be a legit number 1 target for 𝘽𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙯 𝙎𝙤𝙧. Nick Dembski, probably that number 2 as far as workload and volume of targets off the arm of 𝘎𝙤𝙧. And then you have, some really talented complementary pieces, including Charles Nelson, Kelvin McKnight, the rookie and kick returner, but he's probably going to slot in to the starting lineup again like he did in week 2 in the first game against the Argos. And then, of course, Rasheed Bailey, who hauled in his first CFL touchdown in that 20-7 win against the Argos at IG Field. But there was Drew Wolitarsky watching practice all week. And as I mentioned too, Thursday's practice closed. Friday, a travel day to Toronto, so no eyes on a walkthrough or on the field as the CFL changes up that process for the 2021 season. So Saturday afternoon, we'll see if Drew Wolitarsky is in. It's a thorax injury, and if you're wondering what that is, it's really a very general part of the body. It's anywhere from essentially the neck to the lower abdomen, anything encased in the rib cage and spine area. So it could be anything. It could be lungs, stomach, muscles, ribs. It could be a variety of things. That's what he's officially listed at. So with Drew Wolitarsky not taking part in practice, it was Canadian rookie James Tyrrell. And while he is a rookie, he's never played in a CFL game. He did spend time with the Ottawa Redblacks back in 2019. So he's been at that X wide side receiver spot with the Blue Bombers' first team offense. Then another player I've seen kind of slot in a little bit with the ones is a very highly touted receiver and newcomer to the CFL, Ardarius Stewart, a University of Alabama product and a third-round draft pick of the New York Jets in the NFL a number of years ago. He's got an excellent skill set prior to a foot injury, which he's officially listed at right now. Prior to that, in training camp, he'd really elevated himself to that top of the Blue Bombers depth chart when it comes to those new guys stepping in. It was Charles Nelson and Kelvin McKnight in those first 2 games. I'm thinking Ardarius Stewart is very close to being a contributor in this Blue Bombers receiving core as well. So with so many guys able to contribute, Kenny Lawler and Nick Dembski being really strong 1-2 combos in this receiving core, they can be cautious with Darvin Adams. So if you're a fantasy player or you're looking at this game when it comes to a wager, maybe be wary of Darvin Adams. He just might not suit up. Of course, we will get an official depth chart released from the Blue Bombers on Friday, and we'll have that first thing when it's available on BonfireSports.ca. A couple of other things to keep in mind. Of course, Drew Wolitarsky in question for the game on Saturday. He is a Canadian. So if they start another Canadian there or they bring in an American receiver to take that spot, it's all a nice luxury for the Blue Bombers to have because they have so many good Canadians. And with linebackers Jontrell Rockamore and Kyrie Wilson both still unlikely to play, pretty much assured that they're out right now for Saturday, both battling hip injuries. And Jesse Briggs, who forced a fumble back against the Argos in week 2. He will likely get the start next to Adam Bighill in the linebacking core, so that leaves an extra spot for the Blue Bombers to play with when it comes to those 7 Canadians and the ratio. It might be Ricky Walker alongside Casey Sales at defensive tackle. It might be an American receiver stepping in for Drew Wolitarsky on offense. So a lot of pieces there still moving around. Steven Richardson, of course, as I mentioned, some of those defensive tackles, he's still out with a foot injury and walking gingerly during Blue Bombers practice, has not been involved with the Blue Bombers during practice over the last couple weeks since getting injured in week 1. So some moving pieces there. Of course, having that veteran Jake Thomas is a really, really nice thing for the Blue Bombers to have. So those Canadians are really starting to show their value, and the depth overall of this Blue Bombers team, extremely impressive in the early going here. So be sure to like and subscribe and ring that bell and do all those great things. Helps us out a ton here on Bonfire Sports YouTube channel. And I really want you guys to hit up the comments. Give me your opinion. Ask a question. I will definitely respond to you, and I might even address it directly in a video in the future. But that'll do it for us. Thanks for logging on to Bonfire Sports. Be sure to log in back here on Saturday. First thing, Chris Walby joins me for GameDay Winnipeg, and we'll get you set for the rematch between the Bombers and the Argos on Saturday afternoon. Thanks for logging in. We'll see you next time. Keep that bonfire stoked.